Assalamu alaikum everyone, my name is Hira Hyder and you are watching another episode of Let's Talk Part 2 of Women Empowerment and Islam. We were in conversation with Zakra Lubna Sajjad and we've been talking about some pretty interesting things, often things which you talk amongst friends or often things which you think about when you're in your room and aren't really courageous to ask, mostly because we all know how hot of a topic women empowerment truly is. It triggers some people, it confuses some people, and well, let's just face it, there's a lot of mixed up ideologies which do confuse us. So we're going to head over to Lubna Sajjad and speak to her about many more topics, and a particular one which is a favorite of mine is how women should do sabr and when a woman should actually voice herself. And I'm going to jump into one of my very favorite questions, which I'm sure our youth, we all discuss this all the time. Often in our culture, we see that it's the girls who are doing all the housework, it's the mothers. Now, I'm not saying every household is like that, because alhamdulillah, my household isn't. We are 3 sisters and we've got a younger brother, he's the youngest. And mashallah, he knows that I really dislike doing the dishes. So it will be him who will be like, okay Api, I'll do the dishes, you can do the brooming. So I mean, the housework has been divided like that. And if I give my parents' example, if my mom's coming really home late from work, my dad's gonna make her a cup of tea. But we see that often these things are looked down upon when it comes to our culture. There's a lot of patriarchy that overtakes it, which sort of reduces the softness of Islam when it comes to these household roles. So enlighten us about that.
Okay, the household chores, if you talk about the household chores, we have, as an Indo-Pak, citizen of the Indo-Pak culture, we have taken a lot of influence from the Hindu culture. Yeah. So there, it's considered a taboo if a male member of the family enters the kitchen, or if I remember there was I encountered somewhere that even the shoes of the male members of the family are kept a level higher than the shoes of the female member of the family.
Wow.
So we should thank God that we haven't been there. Definitely. We haven't picked up so much of an influence, but yes, we have lived with them, we have gelled in with their culture, so we have picked a lot of things. Definitely. From that culture. Some good, some bad, really bad. Now, a male member working in a household is a no-no, comes from there. And Islam has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. But having said that, the females of today's society, that's what I've started feeling really deep down inside me, that they have started thinking as if this is some kind of
as if it's putting
they're
them
suppressed.
Down. Exactly.
As if they're being suppressed, that if they have to cook, they have to clean, they have to do the laundry, they have to do the dishes, or if she's doing all of these work, so she's doing some kind of a favor to the entire family. It's not like that. When Maulai Kainat and Bibi Fatima Salamullah Alaiha got married, the next day the Prophet came into their house and divided their duties amongst Maula Ali and Bibi Fatima Salamullah Alaiha. So he said that Ali, you are responsible for all outdoor chores, all outdoor work, and Fatima, you will be responsible for the household. Everything that goes indoor would be your responsibility. And Bibi Fatima was really happy. So she was asked that, why are you so happy? So she said that my father has selected the easier chores for me, and he has given the difficult responsibilities to Ali. So just consider this thing, that indoor work or household work is not as difficult as the outdoor chores are. Definitely. Have you refueled your car in winters here in Canada?
That's dad's job. That's Baba's job.
Yeah. But if a female has to do that, it's difficult for her.
And why should you feel like you are less empowered, or that you're not able to do these things?
No. And having given you this example that Rasulullah actually distributed the responsibilities amongst both of them, there was a time when Rasulullah came inside the house and Maulai Kainat was cleaning the lentils, the dal.
Yeah.
He was cleaning the lentils. So Rasulullah said to Maula Ali that, Ali, do you know that you are doing the biggest ibadat on this planet Earth? He was doing the biggest ibadat. If you're helping your wife, you're doing a great ibadat. So for the females, we should not consider that doing household work is something less of a duty. In fact, there is a narration by one of our imams that if a female does she cooks consecutive 7 days for her family, for the happiness of their family or for having a good environment in her house, she's cooking for 7 consecutive days. She gets the sawab of 1 Hajj. What else do we want?
So I think this is where our generation is being so confused, is because of course we are in the Western society, we are being raised here, we are being exposed to all of their norms and their culture, and then we see our culture, and often, like you said, our culture is taken mostly from the Hindus, and that has seeped so deeply into our values that we often tend to overlook what Islam has told us about women. And I wanted to ask you, are there any books in specific which perhaps we can read or we can find, which we can research on regarding this?
Well, first of all, if you skim through the history of Islam, you will get a lot of points and pretty much a lot of things would be clear in your mind. But if you talk about the Western society, now this Western society, if I'm not wrong, I can say that this is a newborn society.
Very true.
It's a newborn society because if you go back 100 years ago, even 150 years ago, if you go back in time, you will realize that the culture was not so tormented or demented, if I may say so. It was not as demented as it is today. Even if you take a look and Google pictures on internet about Wimbledon, the very famous tournament of tennis. If you take a look at the pictures of Wimbledon, I think it started off in 1877, if I'm not wrong, yes. So the female participants of Wimbledon used to be dressed, and I was shocked that they were dressed as if it was a Muslim woman, with long maxis, with long dresses, and with a hat on. So the culture has taken a U-turn. And there's a very good book about how culture has demented, or how culture has taken an uglier face. So if you talk about a book, it's a very good read if you want to go through that. It's by Dr. Haddad Adil, that's in Urdu. It's Uriyan Tehzeeb and Tehzeeb Ki Uryani, and it's been translated in English with the title Nakedness of Culture and Cultural Nakedness. So this kind of society that we see, and we are actually fascinated, the youth is fascinated, is a newborn society. It was never like that before. Even if you see other religion, the females of other religion, you see them really draped up. Even if you go to the Vatican City and look at the nuns, they are so draped up.
Absolutely.
And you would say they're just dressed up the Islamic way. Well, not exactly, but yes, to a very good extent, that they're dressed up in a very Islamic way. Or I remember I used to be in Calgary and I had a neighbor. She was 80 years old, and when she saw me wearing hijab, she was so moved by the fact that she came up with a picture of her mother. And she was wearing a burqa kind of a thing. She was wearing a veil on her, she was wearing a scarf on her head, and she said that my mother never took off this scarf even when she was at home. Even when she was cooking, she used to wear full sleeves clothes, and we are the ones who became modern, and we were the ones who started wearing short clothes and all of that because it was a modern time. So it was never like that. The society, the culture was never like this. This is a very, very newborn society.
Another issue which I see in our society is that, again, yes, that culture is truly pulling women down. But of course, it's been embedded into us for years and years and years. How can today's generation work on eradicating those cultural norms, and of course, in a polite way, not by being over the top rude, you have to watch your tones, you know, be polite, but be practical. How can we put that practicality into play?
It's very simple. Get close to your deen. Get close to your mazhab. Get close to Islam. Start reading about Islam. Start reading about the principles of Islam, the teachings of Islam, and most of all, get close to Holy Quran. That actually, what is culture for us? Is it any important? I mean, I come across a lot of cultural things in the family, and they're being done because it's a culture. But those customs have no importance in Islam.
Definitely.
They do not have any importance in Islam. It's very simple. If you get close to your deen, you don't have to worry about your culture. Because culture is not important for you, your deen is. You would not be asked on the day of judgment of how cultural customs you followed, but you would be asked about how, how Islamic were you? How much did you follow the principles and the guidelines that were laid down by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You would not be asked for the culture. So getting close to the deen would actually put a lot of burden off your shoulders.
And by educating yourself, because you can't know about anything till
Obviously.
you do research.
And deen, what does deen means? You have to read about the religion. You have to read the history. You do have to read the scriptures. You do have to get close to Quran. Because not unless you stay away from Quran and you don't know what the manual of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. And that's a manual for your life and my life. And if I don't read that manual, how do I expect to live a better life? I mean, it's just like spending 2 hours to fix an IKEA furniture without consulting the booklet that came along with it.
Very good example.
Would you be able to fix that furniture without that booklet? If not, if it's a single piece of furniture cannot be fixed, how can a lifetime be fixed? How can we spend our entire life without consulting the Quran? That's where other issues comes in, and that's where females are brought down. A woman should not go through those ordeals that she's going through now. You cannot kill a woman in the name of honor. You cannot you cannot even insult a woman. She is your responsibility. She's like a precious flower, like a pearl, like a diamond. She needs care. So getting close to Islam, getting close to deen can solve a lot of problems.
And with that note, we're going to take another quick break, guys, so stick around. I want to ask you that women empowerment, how is that defined in the Quran? How has Allah said that women are empowered?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted empowerment to women ever since the messengers have come in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not mentioned the importance of female. He has actually given us a chapter called Surah Nisa. By this, that does not mean that the position of the woman is lowered anyway. It's not something, it's not a derogatory sentence for a female.
And I think where that term gender equality comes in, I feel like people need to understand this more, that when we're talking about equality, we're talking about in terms of respect. A woman deserves equal respect just as much as a man does.
Even if you go to Pakistan and you go to pay a bill in the bank, now there used to be a separate queue for the ladies. And they used to give us respect. But still, we do have a culture that respects women by and large.
Welcome back from the break. We have another very interesting question which we are going to be shooting away towards Zakra Lubna, and this is a very interesting concept, the concept of sabr. Now I know that it's a vital concept in Islam, and it's one of the core qualities of a woman when we talk about a strong and empowered woman. But where should a woman do sabr, and where should a woman voice herself for her justice? How do we strike that balance?
I sadly would want to say that we have actually adhered a lot of norms of the society as part of Islam. And Islam nowhere encourages somebody who is an oppressor to grow. And Islam is never with the oppressor. In fact, it's with the oppressed.
Absolutely.
It's the reverse thing. The reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given so much respect and dignity to the females of the society is because of the fact that Allah has considered her to be something who's more delicate than the men. And that's the reason why she is not being responsible for a lot of major chunk of the household works that I mentioned earlier. And again, the sabr part of it has, the household structure of a society can be seen, like I mentioned that we have lived a good period of time with the Hindus. Now, I was researching on the internet, and it said that somewhere around in 2006 or so, there was a lady in India who wanted to get sati with her husband. So,
and the concept of sati, if you could just explain
sati
that.
is something that if your husband dies, they actually cremate their bodies.
Yeah.
So the wives of that the man who dies, deceased, would want to volunteer herself to burn in that fire alive. So doing sabr has taken roots from this culture. Now this culture, that the woman has no existence, she doesn't have an existence if her husband is dead, or she is, the pair ki juti of
which is often
the husband,
which is often
considered
treated, may it be domestic abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse. Women are told to do sabr, but then what do we do when that happens? How should women act out on this?
Now the females of our society are basically facing physical abuse, and if the only condition when a man is allowed to, I don't want to use the word beat the wife, that's also in a very subtle way. If I can mention Dr. Kalbi Sadiq, that he said that if the way Quran mentions to beat your wife is as if you are beating your wife with a handkerchief. It's just like this, or with a toothbrush. It got stuck into my mind that, oh, okay. So a man is not supposed to raise his hand on the female of the house. He cannot beat the wife.
I think that example in itself, for the intellects and the academics who have translated these verses, it just shows.
You cannot read Quran and interpret it your way.
Exactly.
There has been an institution, there has been a class of scholars who have interpreted
it first and foremost.
Yes, obviously. Can you give me one single example, Na'udhu billah, of any of our imam or the household of the A'immah Tahirin, that the male member has suppressed the female member?
Definitely.
No. We see occasionally, we have seen that females have been suppressing the male members, the Ahl al-Bayt. And if I can mention the Jange Jamal.
Definitely.
If I can mention Jange Jamal. So if you consider a woman who can battle against the Khalifa of her time, so would you think that Islam has done something that has given less of an empowerment to the woman? The woman of that time was able to create an army against the Khalifa. Now you have to understand the meaning of empowerment. Empowerment has a lot to do with your powers. You have the power to go to the Khalifa's court and pledge for your right. And you have the power to make an army and fight against Maulai Kainat. You have to understand the difference between them.
It's the choice.
It's the choice of good and bad. You can be as empowered as the lady of Jamal. Or when Imam Hassan alayhi salam passed away from this world, and he was supposed to be buried within the premises of near the grave of Rasulullah. So that lady was able to put a saddle on her donkey and come and stop the burial. So it's your choice. It's the choice of good and bad. And a male member of the society, of the household, can only beat, sadly if I can use this word, beat the wife, only if she is being immoral. Now, in our society, no woman can stoop so low. I don't think so. So there's no reason why a female member of the household should be beaten up. And if she's being beaten up, she has to take measures accordingly, and she has to raise her voice, and she has to take a concrete step. If she's being genuine, if she's being loyal to the husband and still she's being beaten up, then the male member needs mentoring big time.
So then sabr is definitely a relevant term. You do not do sabr against injustices done to you.
You don't do sabr on injustices, but the small things of the household, like anybody is passing a comment on you, a very lame comment on you, and you don't, you have to understand your caliber.
Definitely.
You have to ask yourself, I have to ask myself, is this comment worth my reaction? No. This isn't worth my reaction. I should let go of this. And this is not sabr. And even if I'm doing sabr, to just mention here quickly, a coward person cannot do sabr. The brave people do sabr.
Very true.
So you can let go of those comments, the silly things in us, in the society. Just let go of them and just consider them that I don't think I need to answer that. It's not my caliber.
Now, another debate that we often have, whether it may be in university or in a workplace amongst girls or women, is that Western feminism or feminism all across the world often say that you have a right to your body, especially your reproductive rights, and where abortion comes into play, into question, it is a woman's choice whether or not she wants to abort her child or not. And often Muslim girls and young women do get confused that, okay, this is what we are hearing majority say, but what is in actual being said through Islam? So please enlighten us on this, because this is a very tricky topic.
Your body is not your possession. Your body belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If your body was your possession, so suicide would not have been haram. Your body is the property of Allah only.
Definitely.
You cannot even talk bad about your personality. You just cannot say that I have these bad habits. I cannot get up for namaz. You're not supposed to say that in front of anybody. I mean, it's as if you're backbiting yourself. You're not supposed to explain people my bad habits. So if you're not supposed to do bad to your soul, how can you do bad to your body? And then come again to that fetus. That is another soul, it's another body. When you do not have right on your body, you do not even have the right on that fetus. You're not somebody to decide the destiny of the fetus. It's Allah.
Which means it would count as murder.
Yes, definitely.
Well, I think we should leave this topic for another time, but this very quick discussion which we've just had regarding this specific question, I think it was much needed, and I would like to thank you so much for not only enlightening me, but our audience. And to all of our audience, what I would like to tell everyone out there is, my first message goes out to all the mothers out there, that empower your daughters as much as you empower your sons. And to all the men out there, look at the examples of our Ahl al-Bayt and how they treated their mothers, their daughters, and their wives. And for all the women out there, you have some pretty empowered characters out there in Islam. Go do your research, learn about it, read the Quran with translation, and you'll know how empowered you truly are. Get your ideologies sorted out, and inshallah, the next time when I meet all of you with all of your feedback, I'm sure that we'll have some pretty changed ideologies. Till then, this is Hira Hyder signing off.